Hi, I'm John Palinkas, and I'm running for the HOA board seat. First, I want to thank Gateway Gives Back and everyone else who's helped distribute this video. The last email from the board kind of made it obvious that we're on our own to distribute communication. So if you can help distribute this, I would be greatly appreciative. So I had a conversation with two friends of mine, and they had some really great advice for me. The first person told me, you're doing a great job responding to stuff that the board says, but you need to be more proactive. You need to show people the other side of you. And I realized he was totally right. The second friend gave me the idea for this video. He basically said, you need to tell the community what's your vision for the HOA. And I thought about it and I told him exactly what it was, but he said, yeah, that's great. Now tell the rest of the community. So that's what this video is about. This video is about my vision for what the HOA should be going forward. And I can sum that vision up in one word. And don't worry, it's not transparency. My vision for what the community, for what the HOA should be going forward is simple. It should be invisible. The HOA should be invisible. Now you're probably going, what is he talking about? So let's take a step back and talk about why did you move to an HOA community? It's obvious from talking with people, from myself, you don't want to mow the lawn anymore. You're tired of shoveling snow. You don't have to worry about signing up for the trash collection, let someone else do it. The idea of your own private clubhouse and pool is appealing. You like the idea that all the vendors are under a single point of contact. You don't have to worry about going out there and getting someone to fertilize your lawn and all that. And lastly, to an extent, you have a predictable budget for this. You know what the HOA fees are. They don't change that often. And the HOA is here to help maintain property value. So you moved here for freedom. Let's be honest. You moved here to make your life easier. And that's the intent. So with that in mind and looking at our governing documents, what should the HOA do? What we've said all along: cut the grass, plow the snow, shovel the driveways, collect the trash, maintain the clubhouse, maintain the common areas like the pickleball courts, take care of the pool, staff with lifeguards, and maintain the streets and curbs. Well, hopefully we'll get there someday. But at any rate, that's what the HOA should be doing, and that should all be invisible. And let's be honest, if we look at all the conflicts which have happened over the past year, less than 10% of them have to do with this. Yeah, there was some concern about, are we plowing the streets soon enough, or are we treating walkways and stuff because they're in the shade? But those are fine tuning things. There was no major disagreement on these items. But what's missing from this list? What are the two things not on this list that account for 90% of the disagreements with the HOA? Well, that's simple: social activities and communications. Social activities, the board's basically said, unless we personally approve it, we're not going to do anything to support it. I'm sorry, but that's crazy. That is really crazy. And the latest nonsense of not supporting a charity event for breast cancer. I mean, I find the whole policy they put in place that they quote of clubs to be abhorrent, abhorrent. So, and for the social activities and the social activity committee, I've heard from just about everybody that they micromanage them. First thing I would want to do is say there is no more social activities committee. There's social activities clubs that aren't under the board's control, that do what they want, that organize events. There's lots of that goes on anyway. Let's give it all to the residents. Let's give it all to the homeowners. And communications. Well, we all saw the last email, so let's not dwell on it. But let's look at Gateway Connects, a newsletter done by residents for residents. Well, why don't we take that model and take all communications and give it to the residents and get the board out, except for announcing things like, the lawns being mowed or not being mowed. And hopefully they can get that right. Like, I don't know about you, but that last email about when to put the flags down, first week in October. Well, does that mean October 1st, which is the middle of the week, or does that mean the week after? I don't know. That was kind of confusing, but hopefully if they just concentrate on that, they can get that down. So I believe, point blank, that these two functions should be led and managed by homeowners, not the board. Now, there should be support from the board, not oversight. And by support, I'll give you a great example. Google Canal Walk, Somerset, New Jersey. You'll find their website. It's basically one of those things where there's a number of companies that basically support HOAs by giving them templates for residents or boards to build their own websites. I've looked at those. Do you want to know what they cost? They cost about $10 per household per year. That's right, per year. Basically, we're talking 2 cups of coffee a year for us to have our own communications vehicle. Seriously, let's do it. So that's my vision for the board. Make the HOA transparent. It should be in the background. It should get the things done that need to be done, and homeowners should do and manage the rest. But this whole thing taught me something. It taught me my blind spots. It taught me things I should be looking at, and that I need people to point that out to me. So what I'd like to suggest is doing something. I'd like to suggest starting something, and by the way, this is from another friend. I stole the title, and he knows who he is, a neighborhood circle. Neighborhood circle is just a bunch of homeowners who get together and provide honest feedback and suggestions of where we go. I mean, this whole video is based on 2 friends of mine giving me those suggestions. Think what we could do with a larger group doing that. I'd like to set that up and do that twice a month on a regular basis in the Clubhouse. So if you want to know when that's going to be, send me an email. I'll be glad to let you know when the next one is and invite you. I'm also going to include in the email message that distributed the next one of these to get together. I can't believe you the value. I can't tell you the value I got from 2 people, 2 friends, basically coming to me and saying, John, I need to give you some feedback. And it was great. It was wonderful. I think this is how we need to operate. And if we operate this way and we take communications and social activities away from the board and we leave them to do the basics, hopefully in a year or 2, the board can be invisible. I want to end with something else that another friend sent me. Basically sent me a text and said, I'm not running for the board, and by now you probably understand why. And said something about, one voice can't make all these changes. And I sent back, you're right, one voice can't make all these changes, but one voice can start the process of making these changes. And based on what I see right now, I think the feeling in the community is we're ready for that change. And if you're ready for that change, help me, support me, and let's move this to a position where the HOA board is invisible and you don't even know who the members of the board are because they're not out there in the middle of your life every day. So this is John Palinkas, and if you believe what I said, please help me by distributing this message. And when the time comes, help me with your vote. Thank you very much.